Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on the 1 day time frame here, guys, because it is finally happening. We have finally broken this descending trend line in the Bitcoin price that we have been trading below ever since the middle of January here. So let's first take a look at some indicators before I move on to the support and resistance levels. Notice how right here we have a bullish divergence in the charts. So this is when you have lower lows in the Bitcoin price and higher lows in the RSI momentum indicator. And typically this points towards a break from all of this bearish price action that we have seen here recently, either in the form of some choppy sideways price action or potentially some bullish momentum on this 1 day time frame. So therefore, that is my current outlook as well. I'm expecting either choppy or potentially bullish momentum on the 1 day time frame here. Notice how right now we are trading at a level of resistance, though, sitting at about 85.6K, but this does trend down over time. So we have now broken the main descending trend line. I think this is the most important one to actually pay attention to. That one is currently sitting at about 82.3K. So yeah, as long as we're not trading down below this, I'm basically expecting Bitcoin to eventually creep up higher and take out big levels of liquidity to the upside here. First priority, though, is actually breaking that level of resistance. If we were to break above this, the next level of resistance above is already sitting at 90,000 US dollars in the Bitcoin price. Yes, in the short term, we could be facing some resistance around this 87.4K level, which is around these previous highs here. But after that, the next level of resistance is sitting around that 90,000 US dollar level. Before I move on to the lower time frames, let's first take a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, on the 2 week time frame, notice how right here we have just taken out a big level of liquidity sitting at 85.3K. So that was one of those big levels that I kept talking about on the channel here. Either way, if we zoom into the 3 day time frame, notice how right now we are basically at a 3 day high. So therefore, most of the liquidity is to the downside. However, we do have quite a bit of liquidity sitting at 86,000. And in terms of liquidity to the downside, we have some at about 84K. And the bigger pocket in terms of short-term liquidity to the downside is sitting at around 82.1K. And there is even a decent amount of liquidity sitting at 83.4K. So those are the short-term areas that I think the Bitcoin price is likely getting attracted to. But if we zoom out all the way to the 1 year time frame for Bitcoin, notice how right now we are dipping into this big pocket of liquidity. Most of that is now taken out, and the next big level of liquidity to the upside is already at 88.9 thousand. Now, with us having broken this descending trend line in the Bitcoin price, my base case expectation is that we are likely going to take out this big level of liquidity here. And then if we were to break out above this descending line of resistance, likely we are going to be taking out this next level of liquidity to the upside after that, which is already sitting at 100K in the Bitcoin price. And that will be right around here in the charts. So notice how I am flipping more bullish on Bitcoin here, even with all of this uncertainty in terms of the macro news and things like that are coming out a lot of volatility with the tariffs and everything. However, I am purely a technical trader, and to me, this is looking like a trend reversal. Of course, when I say that, keep in mind that I do have a clear point of invalidation, which is if we trade back below this trend line, then obviously the gig is up and likely we need to do some more chopping before a potential next move to the upside. So do understand that I'm not just blindly telling you that I am bullish on Bitcoin here. Either way, if we take a look at the 4-hour time frame, this bottom call from one of my recent videos was actually spot on because we saw this exaggerated bullish divergence in the charts, which is when you have horizontal lows in the Bitcoin price and higher lows in the RSI momentum indicator. Typically, this is indicating that the bearish trend is weakening, but there isn't a full-on reversal signal yet. But regardless, the way I see this exaggerated bullish divergence is very simply that so long as we do not invalidate it, I am expecting either choppy sideways or potentially bullish momentum on this 4-hour time frame as well. And of course, since then, yeah, that is exactly what we have seen. Next, moving on to the 2-hour time frame for Bitcoin. So we're really diving into the short term here. Currently, we are simply in an uptrend. So not too much to say about this. Basically, so long as we are trading above this ascending trend line, I am expecting the Bitcoin price to keep trading higher and higher. So this is just something that I'm paying attention to in the short term here. Something a little bit interesting that is happening on the 1-hour time frame, though, is that we have a potential rising wedge pattern, which is when you have two of these ascending trend lines, and the supporting ascending trend line is climbing faster than the resistance ascending trend line. Now, in terms of probabilities, a rising wedge pattern has a 66% chance of breaking to the downside. So keep in mind that there is a 1/3 chance that, yeah, we just break to the upside and continue trading up from there. Notice how here we also have that descending level of resistance that I showed you on the 1-day time frame. So for now, nothing really is going on, but if this were to break to the downside, you could, for example, take a price target like this and saying, like, in the short term, we are roughly going to be targeting 82.3K in the Bitcoin price. But of course, that is only if we actually break to the downside from this ascending trend line. Therefore, for now, this pattern isn't necessarily bearish, just like I showed you on this 2-hour time frame here, because we are still simply just trending to the upside for now. Lastly, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables. Yesterday, we saw a very small day here because we basically saw 1 million in outflows, when, yeah, usually we have massive inflows or massive outflows. So not really too much going on with these Bitcoin ETFs at the moment. Lastly, guys, before I close off today, make sure you join the RT1M community on Discord, because this is one of the most active crypto trading communities in the crypto space right now. As you can see, we have a Bitcoin technical analysis channel as well as an altcoin technical analysis channel. So if you want to share your analysis, read other people's analysis, I highly recommend you come check this out. It is completely free to join, and you can join this with the link in the video description of the video that you are watching right now. But regardless, if you do end up checking it out or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.